Good morning, good day, or good time, whatever time it is you're having. I am Graham Gordon Thomas, and I am the rational environmentalist, and I like to ask questions because questions is my human right. As soon as someone says you can't ask a question, or don't question this, or don't question that, they're stomping all over your human rights. And this goes for global warmists or those who live in fear of a catastrophic global warming, when by the time 2030 comes along, because the sun's going through a minimum, there could be a mini ice age come along which will cancel all the warming out. But that's by the by. You can't predict the weather over 10 years or a long period, and we can even get hit by a meteorite as we go through the Taurus meteor belt, which anyone who thinks and lives in fear of the weather when you could get smashed in the head with a meteorite has got our priorities wrong. You're supposed to enjoy yourself now, not worry about some event far in the future. But that the government and the media have got people living in fear of something that may not happen is a very, very clever thing on those people's part. What they've done is brilliant, because governments need people to live in fear so that you need them to solve the problem for you, like same as the old god priest did. You need to live in fear of the gods too, and the priest will get the gods to act for you if you pay them sort of tithe or money. God will forgive you. But I'd like to know why governments, of course, politicians think that causing hardship and poverty and unemployment is going to lower global temperatures. That's something I want them to answer, and everyone should say, excuse me, how does causing hardship and poverty lower global temperatures? That's just something that we have to see what the relationship is, because that's what they're saying, that's what they're doing. I want to explain over the next 3 or 4 videos how to lower the electricity prices. It's called market forces. Who owns electricity? No one really. It's just a thing. It's conduit. Electricity occurs naturally, harnessing the potential of it. That's what all humans do. Before anyone questions my authority or ability to understand, I've written 2 books, or quite a number of books, and I am a writer and philosopher. One book here is called Paulbot Advanced Human Systems, Fireplace Dreaming, which explains the evolution of humans, how it evolves, and it's the same as how the cosmos evolves. Another one here, One Law and the Challenge of Eve. Basically, it's about evolution, explains evolution. It's not for or against religion or anything like that. It just explains religion's role in civilization's evolution, negative or positive, whatever. It also explains evolution, and it also explains within that book how to reduce the effects humanity has on the rest of the globe, rest of the environment that we exist within. But I'll come to that at some other later video. The cost of electricity is very, very high, and the government keeps assigning these contracts that allows electricity retailers who provide nothing but a bill to keep banging up electricity prices more and more and more to satisfy their greed need for buying more houses. That's basically all it is. It doesn't buy anything, it doesn't do anything else. The government, all the government has to do, or the people somewhere in Australia, the people have to understand the power is in their hands. As I can give an example. Around about where Tamworth is, I'll give you an example of a model that brings down electricity prices for those people who choose to do this model. And politicians have to back this if they're serious about supporting the people. Say an area like Tamworth in the New England electorate of New England, where Barnaby Joyce is. If the people there as a collective form a corporation all of them become a shareholders in for $5 or whatever it is. It doesn't matter if you're on the dole or pension or whatever, you become a shareholder in this power company. You find out how many kilowatts per year you need, plus a percentage over you can sell into the market. That now then establishes what size steam power generator you need. You can buy these on, believe it or not, you can get onto Alibaba and you can buy them from China, have them delivered to site, and you can have them erected. So it's no really difficult thing to do, and I was a project manager in refractory and big engineering, so I have a little bit of experience in knowing that these things are quite easy to put together. They just sound complicated for people with no experience in every industry. But if the people say, just an example, you could do it in North Queensland near the Aldina, what it's called, the mine they're going to build in North Queensland. You can do the same there. The people there can do the same. You build a coal-fired power station, the next generation one. You build it next to the coal mine itself, so there's no cost at all or no emissions whatsoever in moving the coal to the where it's fired. And then you find that the point about this though is all the people owning the power system, they will have to pay it off. Of course, you get a loan. There are loans available throughout the planet. Someone will lend you the money, and you pay off this system over a 20-year period. It doesn't matter really, it's like paying a car off, but your payments will be forever the same. You do a deal so your payments are permanently fixed as a payment. Therefore, your power bills are never going to go up again. They stay the same. The simple thing about this though is that you can then structure your power bill throughout your community so that the pensioners pay a set amount per week, people on dole pay a set amount a week, and up to a maximum. There's a maximum people have to pay to cover the cost of this thing and covering the repairs and general maintenance, which isn't so great as they'd like to make out in a brand new modern furnace. It's a very simple system, and the amount of human resource required to run it is absolutely minimum, and you can set up robotic systems to basically eliminate all human costs. And also through administration, you don't need a big committee or paying themselves $1,000 a day, that's what they do to run this system. It basically runs itself through computers and software. That's all it has to do, and it's that simple. It's that simple. And because China is 90% of the coal that is being Australia produces is burnt in China and India or someone else, there is no excuse for anyone in Australia to deny Australians this the power and the economic benefit generated by coal. If people in China are getting the benefit from it, you can't say, well, we're denying you in Australia. That's not equal rights. We want equal rights to power generation and cheap electricity as the people in China have. Equal rights should be a global thing, not just something about gay rights or women's rights. It should be sort of equality. There should be an equality of justice in this global arrangement to do with climate change. And that's the one thing. If the Chinese can reduce their power bills and generate these big cities through importing and using Australia's coal, then Australians should be entitled to do the same thing and be treated the same by their politicians. Australian politicians are favouring the Chinese people and Japanese people with cheap gas against their own people. That's how absurd the politics has become over global warming, because now politicians represent everyone else outside the country and very, very few people within the country, and the only people they do represent are the ones who work in the power industry or are subsidised by people paying their power bills. So they're a massive net loss to the society, and I'm making a simple suggestion that say in New England they've got a coal mine at Barabara, whatever it's called, or Bagara, wherever the town's called. There's a mine there. It's your going mine. You stick a Healer next generation coal-fired power station there. The people of the area own it. You can work out how much kilowatts you need per year, plus some over to export into the market. You bring down the whole cost structure. Your bills stay the same over the duration of the loan. Some of the bills can go into accumulated fund, which benefits the society in the future, which I will explain in greater detail in the future. But it's very simple. That Malcolm Turnbull and all these people need some sort of experts to work this simple thing out for them is a question that means they don't actually know what they're doing. The fact they set up a system that causes poverty and hardship questions everything about them, their intellectual ability, their education, every facet of their being as representing the people is under question, because they're causing hardship in Australia whilst helping people in China get rich and helping people in India get rich by selling this coal. They're doing that. It's a contradiction. They're supposed to represent the people of Australia, not Indians and Chinese. Well, it's good to be nice to people and generous to people, but surely generosity and charity starts at home, and it starts with electricity, which is ubiquitous. You don't need a retailer, a shop front to sell you electricity. You can't live without it. But that's a very, very simple way, and I can give a further, much more greater detail of how that works, the specifics of that, if I was requested to do so. It's very simple. Ownership of electricity within an area, people form a corporation, a company, a corporation, they all become shareholders. Obviously the benefit of that is that directly the money they pay for the power bills goes directly back into the community, what's surplus to paying off the loan, etc. They even will pay in some tax to the Commonwealth. They'll even pay tax. So this is a win-win situation for the people, win for the Commonwealth, win for everyone, because it then will start putting pressure on electricity prices everywhere else, and everyone's got to then the market restarting a market system that will generate employment in those areas, allow them to develop and generate employment elsewhere in Australia as you start lowering the cost of electricity to the consumer. It's simple. Anyway, it is rather simple. Anyway, my name's Graham Gordon Thomas. I'm the rational environmentalist, and I'm trying to wake up the politicians because they no longer represent the people when it comes to their jobs, their families, how to look after old people. They look after Chinese people instead and Japanese people. That's more important to them. Crawling to people in Paris. That's what's more important. Anyway, have a lovely day.